Hey everybody, welcome to Board Games with the Family. Today we're taking a look at a Kickstarter preview. This is a game called Snitch by Common Man Games, the same guys behind the very popular game Police Precinct. So Snitch is another police-themed game, but this time it's not a cooperative game, this is a competitive game. Each player is playing a newly promoted detective. You don't really know the lay of the land of the new city, you don't really know any much information, and what you're trying to do is get to know the city, get to know the criminal elements, get to know people that can provide you information, so your confidential informants, your snitches. And what you're trying to do is be the best detective at getting enough evidence to the DA in order to bring a case against the kingpin. So that's kind of the theme of the game. And again, please remember these are all prototype components. These are print and play version. So these are certainly not the final components, not necessarily the final artwork, and certainly, obviously, not the finalised quality. One other thing to mention while I go through this, there's two other things I need to mention. Firstly, these orange cubes. These are meant to be brown. Okay, so the game will refer to brown cubes. We're using orange cubes as stand-in. The other thing is I haven't got any status point markers, so these are the victory points, if you like, of the game. So I'm just going to use a pad and pen, nice old-fashioned, to keep track of these. These are both earned and spent in the game, so I'll just be making notes on my pad about how many points each player's got. Obviously, the finalised game will come with proper tokens. Okay, so I've set this up now for a two-player game, and what I'll probably do, I think, is jump straight into it. I think this is a game that's easier to show you how to play rather than try and tell you how to play. So in the middle here, and this is how the game starts, we have the HQ tile. So explaining about movement in this game, so it took me a little while to get my head around. So on the tile, here the blue area is one zone, and then you probably can't see on the artwork necessarily, you can just about make it out there. These are split into 4 different zones, so each corner is its own zone. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. On a normal tile, movement works slightly differently. Essentially, you can move within a tile as long as you can move without crossing into the red zone. You can move. So if this tile was here, then the yellow player could spend 1 point to move here. But would also, because there's no red line at the top here, he could actually be considered over here as well. And so if there was another tile here, for example, oops, oh dear, trying to do this one-handed isn't easy. He could be, that's 1 space, that's 2 spaces. And again, if there was a tile here, that would be 3 spaces. So that's how movement works. So, how does the game play? On your turn, you have 5 action points to spend. Each turn is split into 2 phases. There's the action phase, and then there's the collection phase. The collection phase won't happen for a little bit because it needs snitches, etc. on the board before it happens. So, the very first few turns, a lot of it is just drawing tiles and playing tiles. So let's start with that. So the yellow player will go first. They have the first play marker. This will again be a proper token. So they've got 5 action points to spend, and they say you can play tiles and you can draw tiles. To play tiles, you can actually play anywhere on the board. However, it makes most sense to try and place kind of near you, because there's no point building something the other side of the board and not being able to get there. What you're essentially trying to do when you place tiles is make completed zones of influence. These are these red areas. Once you've got a completed zone of influence, then you can work on generating a snitch. But we'll see how that works. So at the moment, if we look at the 3 tiles, and by the way, I should point out, each player starts the game with 3 tiles, and everything in this game is open information. Once it's revealed, so obviously these are, we'll come to these soon, but these are face down, these are face down, this big stack. Otherwise, everything is open information. How many status points you have, what tiles you're holding, what cubes you're holding, everything is open in this game. Which reminds me, each player also starts with 1 cube, and their starting detective can hold 4 cubes. Each player also has their own snitches. These aren't active yet. This tells you what you need to activate them, and again we'll explain how that works. But the yellow player has the black cube to start with, and the blue player happens to draw the blue cube, and that was just a random draw. So let's go back to what I was trying to do here. So essentially what you're trying to do is this is a bit of a puzzle, if you like. You're trying to build a completed zone of influence. Now placing tiles, it's fairly obvious. I think the phrase they use, if it looks right, it probably is right. So first of all, the streets have to match. But so far, everything I've seen has 3 streets on every side. So I've never seen an example where it wouldn't fit. So for example, I could take this and rotate it, and there's still all the streets match. Even if you have something like this tile here, which is just looks, it's not quite as straight. Again, whichever way I put it, it still fits. Okay. So streets have to match. Then we're looking at the red areas and the green areas. So red areas have to match exactly. So I couldn't place this one here, for example. Equally, I couldn't place it there. I could, however, place it like that, where the green areas match. But remember, I'm trying to create zones of influence. So this one goes quite nicely there. However, it's not a completed zone of influence because there's nothing here. And I can't place this one because it doesn't match. Okay. So my first action, I will draw another tile. And actually, as it so happens, that's perfect. That now fits. So that's my first action. And I should point out again, there's no hand limit. You can hold as many tiles as you want. This is limited, this stack. In a 2-player game, there's 36 tiles. But otherwise, there's no limit. So that was one action. I'm then going to actually try and build this zone of influence on the board. So I will place that there. That's another action. So that's 2 action points. That's 3 action points. And that's 4 action points. Okay. Now, as soon as a zone of influence is built, like it is now, okay, it's complete, we do 2 things. First of all, we randomize these, and then we draw one. And these, you can probably tell from the back, these are the different types of information cubes. So this is yellow, and it's a loot. So we place that there, and that shows that this zone of influence generates yellow information. Next thing we do, because we've just kind of formed this zone of influence, we count how many tiles there are in it. So it's 1, 2, and 3. We take that many tiles, that many cubes, sorry, of the correct colour, in this case yellow, and these are just placed on the ground in anywhere in the zone of influence. Whilst they are left loose like this, they count as being anywhere in the zone of influence. So that was 4 points. I've now got another point, and if you want, you've got these dead and live tokens. I'm not massively keen on that terminology. But if you want, you can set these are sort of action reservation system. So if I wanted for my 5th one, I could flip that over to live, and that would get me an extra action on a future turn. But I'm not going to do it. I'm actually going to move with my other action. So I'm going to move that there. And now because I've moved that there, I can now actually grab some of these cubes. Okay, so I can grab as many cubes, in this case there's 3, I can grab as many cubes I've got room for, so I've got space for 3. If I come down here, I can look at what I actually need. So at the moment I need to build this level 1 snitch. I need either a black and red, a green and blue, and a orange or yellow. Remember, here brown is orange. So I've got black at the moment, and I'm going to pick up yellow. So that combination won't work. Looking here, level 2 snitch, and you can build these in any order. You don't have to build level 1, then level 2, then level 3. You can build them in any order. So here, black and yellow works, but I then need a green as well. And this one is basically one of each. Oh, sorry, it's not one of each still. It's 5 different coloured cubes. So which is why it's one of each minus any one cube. So I think for now, I will just go and grab all three, and I'll see what happens. Oops, try not to throw them all over the table. Okay, so that was his turn. He drew a tile, played 3 tiles, and then moved. There are certain actions that are free. The coerce, which is kind of building up the getting to know a snitch, is free, as is the administration action where you can move cubes around. Now, we haven't created a snitch here yet. We've sort of meta contact. Now, if blue, just because I've put this loot token here as a yellow player, blue player could still come down here and do the coerce action. Sorry, not the coerce. Sorry, the build action, and try and build one of his snitches. Obviously, he can't. He's only got a blue cube at the moment. But if he had the right cubes, just because I'm the one to create the zone of influence and coerce a snitch to talking, doesn't mean that I will get to build my snitch there. So that's the end of my turn. Now we'll go to the blue player's turn. Okay, so the blue player, he's going to build 2 zones. He's going to put one there, and he's going to put the other one there. Now, the interesting thing about doing this, because this goes all the way to the edge, you actually can't walk through here. You'd actually have to go round and then down. Obviously, there's no other tile there at the moment. As it so happens, I don't need to move there yet. But again, this is an opportunity to block people. If you think they're trying to get somewhere, you can kind of put one of these zones of influence that stretches out across the whole tile, and that can stop movement. So that's 2 actions. That's going to be 3 actions. Then we're going to do the coerce again. So we're going to draw one of these, and it's blood. So this is a red cube, and this is all about violent crimes, etc. So this time there are only 2 tiles in this space. So we put 2 cubes there. And blue player will pick up both of them for now. Now looking here, again, he's now got blue and red. These are all exactly the same, by the way, across the 2 different players. And again, blue and red isn't a combination that's massively helpful. Although again, it is if he can get himself a brown cube or an orange cube. So, one other thing to point out, the build action, also, if you don't have the right cubes, you can instead pay this cost if it will focus, which it's apparently not going to do. Essentially, this is a symbol for status points. To build this level 1 snitch, if you don't have the cubes, you can instead pay 11 points. That's a lot. Each player does start the game with 9 status points. Okay, so just writing down quickly because I forgot. Okay, so blue played 2. He then moved. That's 3 actions. He's actually going to draw another couple of tiles for now and see what he gets. So that's 1, and that's 2. Okay. Okay, so he's got 2. It's not massively helpful for next turn, but we'll go back to yellow. Now, I did say there is the collection phase. This is the rule book, by the way. Now, the collection phase does say, so once they've finished with action, they begin the collection phase. Each snitch that effective controls produces 1 info cube. Well, we don't have any snitches at the moment, which is why I'm ignoring it for now. Okay, so back to the yellow player's turn. So the yellow player, he's got this tile here, and he could actually come up here and place it there. But that's a little bit far away from where he is at the moment, and again, that would potentially give blue the opportunity to swoop in and do stuff with that. So he's not going to do that for now. He's just going to start drawing some tiles and see what we get. So that's 1. Oops, draw 2 tiles by accident. That's 2. So again, we've got that kind of shape that we could do. That's 3. And this is where you kind of start to play around with stuff and see, can you make any shapes? Can you? So it's 3 we're up to at the moment, so we could do that, and then that. And some of these zones of influence can get really, really big. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. And you might as well just draw one more as well. 5. Okay. So, not much happened there, but I think next time you might be able to do stuff. Okay, back to the blue player. So what can the blue player do? First of all, he's also going to start by drawing some tiles. So that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. In fact, he's going to place that there for his 4th action. No, he's not. He's going to place that there for his 4th action. And he's going to place that there for his 5th action. Okay, so we can now do another coerce, and it's another yellow one. Okay, so it's not massively helpful for either player really. He's going to put 2 cubes down there, and I believe he can take them. Well, he can't take them both. He can take 1. He's got room for 1 in his pile. And again, that's not really helpful because the yellow's the wrong side. You really need an orange to complete this one. And this now has to be left on the ground, this cube. So another player could come and swoop in and take it. Okay, so before yellow does anything else, he's actually going to come up here. He's going to spend 1 action point. And he's going to trade in 2 of his cubes. And the way this works is, you look at the different types of cubes multiplied by the total number. So in this case, he just gets 2 points, 2 cubes for 1 colour. Now getting 2 points. That puts him on 11. The reason he only did 2 points is, well, mainly because he wanted to keep the 2 colours here in the hope that he can get a green at some point. So that was 2. So that was 1 point. That was 1 action point used. So he can do 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. And then he'll do that, and then he'll do a coerce action. So this is brown locale. Now, obviously, this is orange for us. 1, 2, 3 tiles, 3 orange cubes. I apologise that orange and red look really, really similar. It's partly lighting, partly because my camera seems to refuse to focus today. And again, these should be brown, not red. And he's just got space actually to do that. But now actually this is quite helpful because although it didn't help for this one where you needed the green, if you come over here, brown and yellow, he could on next turn convert that snitch. So I think that's what we'll aim for next turn. Back over to blue. So blue needs to be careful he's not boxing himself into a corner really. So I think he'll do 1 build. 2 build. So that's 2 points, that's 3, that's 4. Oh, I can't build that there. Okay, and I think actually he will draw another token for his last action. So that could be good. Okay, so that wasn't complete, so he can't coerce. Back over to yellow, and now yellow is going to build a snitch. So he could actually build it in either of these, or of course he could have come over here and built it in either of them as well. He is going to build it. So building takes 4 action points. And when you build, you actually place it in a space. So you can either place it in this space. In fact, he's only next to this one, so he doesn't want to move. So he's going to stay there. He's going to hand in his orange and yellow. These go back into the supply. And I guess this is kind of meant to be you're giving the snitch information on them. You'll say, I know that you've done this, and if you don't want to go to prison, then you'll help us get information, that kind of stuff. So we've built that snitch. It's a level 1 snitch, so we place our level 1 marker into that space. And we flip over a level 1 snitch card. So it goes from there to there. This does 2 things. Firstly, it lets him hold cubes, and secondly, it gets 3 points. So I should point out that to end the game, you need to have 60 status points and at least 2 builds. So that's 1 build, that's another build, and you can actually build yourself as well. So if you see, this has got flip. To flip, you need 5 cubes of any mix of colours, so any 5 cubes, and then you can flip it over. And it just lets you hold more stuff. Okay, so I think that's probably given you hopefully an idea of how to play the game. I think what I will do is just show you how the collection phase works. So basically what this does is, because this we've now got a snitch in play, he's a yellow snitch, he's a loot snitch. Once yellow's finished his turn, he would take the yellow cube and place it on the snitch himself. At any point, the detective could use the administration action to move the cube from his snitch to him. So this is a way to get kind of information for yourself. And of course his loot is going to build up each turn. Okay, so each turn he kind of gets more information. If at any point he hasn't got room to hold anymore, then this goes into his zone of influence. And once in the zone, once it's on the ground, any player can then pick it up. So it's kind of a good idea to keep your snitches in one area of the city if you can, so you can get to them quite easily. But of course, if it could be that actually you're unlucky and all your area happens to be one colour cube and you need different colours. So I think that's where a lot of the interaction comes in. There are another couple of actions we haven't really gone through. There's one where you can, when you go to the DA up here, you can actually go and visit the jail. To visit jail, you basically are questioning someone who's in prison, and you can get 1 cube of any colour. So yeah, if you just need that last colour cube, you can do it. However, it costs, to do that you have to kind of make deals and stuff, and the DA doesn't really like doing that. So if you want to do that, you actually lose, I believe it's 9 points. Just double check that. Sorry, 10 status points. I lied. So it costs 10 points to get to basically, you have to go to the DA and say, look, I know this guy's in for 10 years, whatever it is. Can we offer him a deal if he can supply us information? Of course, DA doesn't like doing that, so it costs you status points. Another thing we didn't do, you can interrogate somebody else's snitch. So if the blue player had come over here, if the yellow player wasn't there for now, If the blue player was here, he can actually spend 3 action points, and he gets the cubes from my Snitch. Now, in payment for that, I actually get a free one from the bank as well. But again, it's a way of stopping an opponent kind of building up a load of resources, and also it might be the access to a cube you need. Now, the last action we haven't talked about. Now, when you move, you can always move through a space of another detective, but you can't end your turn there. There is one exception, which is the jurisdiction action. So to do jurisdiction action, if you end your move on another player who's standing next to your Snitch, you can basically claim jurisdiction. It costs you 2 action points, and you can bump that player somewhere else. And again, that kind of just stops them trying to interrogate your snitches. And that's basically how you play. So this is a lot of pick up and move, pick up and delivery rather, I should say, plus the tile laying aspect of it. You can be strategic in trying to block off people from accessing certain parts, or making them walk a long way round. There is a decent solo mode. To play solo works exactly the same. Obviously, you can't do the 2 actions I've just described. You can't do the jurisdiction, and you can't interrogate because there's no other players on the board. And essentially, it's a timed game. So you see how many turns it takes you to get to 60 status points, and then you can keep a score of how well you've done and try and beat your score. But it's pretty decent. It moves fast. This is a game that does play very quickly. There's not a huge amount of AP in the game. And I know, I'm aware that I believe some of these artworks are going to change. My one complaint is I think this looks a little bit busy. It's not always easy to see where the zones of influence are, etc. But I think that's going to change. If you're interested, check out the Kickstarter page. I'll provide a link to it at the bottom of this. I think there's a couple of weeks left of the campaign. They're just over 50% funded, last time I checked. So yeah, definitely get on board. It's a very reputable company. I say they're the guys behind Police Precinct. They know what they're doing when they're producing games, so I don't think there's much of a risk there. And actually, if you missed out on Police Precinct, there's a really good reward level where you can get Snitch, Police Precinct, the Heat expansion, and the Mad Men cards and whatever else there is as a big bundle. So yeah, definitely check out the Kickstarter page. Otherwise, take care for now.